Hi, this is Craig Robinson from Robinson and Casey. I want to talk a little bit about a story that was in NBC6 Miami over the last couple of days about the Baker Act. The article that was written is about an incident that occurred in Broward County. There's allegations that the Baker Act was used improperly and for the wrong purpose, and that the individual involved did not actually have a background of any mental health or substance use issues. I was actually contacted about this story last week by Amy Viteri, who works for NBC6, and the kind of tone of the call really was trying to get me to talk about the ways that the Baker Act and the Marchman Act could be used improperly if someone falsely states something in a Baker Act petition or Baker Act form. What could happen to somebody who's falsely accused of having mental health condition. I didn't know enough about the actual facts of this particular circumstance to really speak about it, because obviously it sounds like there's two sides to the story that are being played out in the legal filings of this case. But nevertheless, where I tried to steer that conversation with Ms. Viteri is to talk to her about all of the ways that the Baker Act and the Marchman Act really have helped the families that we've represented in the past. It's been my experience that when someone ends up in a Marchman Act or a Baker Act process, normally that is not an accident. I am not saying that there aren't certain circumstances where somebody, I guess, could use the law for the wrong purpose or the wrong reason. Now, there are safeguards in place for both the Baker Act and the Marchman Act to make sure that the allegations that are made in either case are accurate. And I believe those safeguards are really effective to ensure that someone's not going to have their civil liberties or their civil rights taken away because of false accusations. I mean, the same argument really could be made in criminal law or in civil law, where somebody could be wrongfully accused of a crime, or someone could be sued for something that they didn't do. And obviously, same thing in the Baker Act and the Marchman Act, there are safeguards in place for those processes as well for people that could be falsely accused. But really the message I want to portray in this is that when I was on the phone with Ms. Viteri and I was trying to tell her all of the families that these laws have saved their loved ones' lives, she didn't really want to hear that part of the story. Obviously, this sounds like a story that maybe is more attractive to the reader, when something happens where a law is improperly used. But really, I was trying to take the conversation in a different direction with her, and she did not want to write that story. That offer still remains to put the stories of some of our families out there who have utilized these laws to save their loved ones' lives. So I can't comment too deeply on the facts and circumstances of this particular case because I don't really know well enough both sides of the story. But I will just say I hope that Ms. Viteri and I hope that more media outlets start maybe trying to focus on covering the positive stories that can come out of these laws, which doesn't really seem to be covered enough, in my opinion. And so we've been releasing some videos, and I know that there's one, I believe, coming out this week as well, of a mom who utilized the Marchman Act to save her daughter's life. Both the mom and the daughter both agree that the Marchman Act was really one of the best things that could have ever happened to her daughter. So I hope that going forward that we can cover some of these more positive stories. We're going to be doing our best to try to get some of those stories out there. And thank you so much, everybody.